Then welcome everyone, and apologize for the delay. We had a little technical issues, but we are going to start now. So I'm one of the co-founders of Instagrid. My name is Andreas Sedlmayr, and I'm going to tell you today how to work efficiently and cut emissions with new battery technology on construction sites. First, a little bit information about Instagrid. So Instagrid was founded in 2018 by Sebastian Berning and myself, when we thought about how to improve the lives of construction people by having worked at one of the largest power tools manufacturers in the world. We thought about resigning and founding our own venture. The company is based in Stuttgart and in Helsinki. Right now we are around 35 employees. We are venture backed. We actually have a large Dutch venture capital company behind us called Z Ventures. We raised about 10 million euros up to date, and we already got some substantial recognition in the community. So we won the Energy Award in 2019 for the best and upcoming electrical storage solution, and we just recently won the SET Award in renewable energies and materials, which is quite substantial for such a small company. And so for now, you can see the entire team here, and we are all following that one mission to make electricity mobile and available for everyone, simple, easy to use, and reliable. So if we look at what we have looked at when we thought about, or when we decided to resign from a very well-paid job in a large German corporation, is that there are 1.8 billion people in the world. For them, the work is mobile, and they work in a mobile fashion. If you think about construction workers, and you see all of that here, if you're working mobile on pipes, on welding of pipes, or if you have to cut something outside, but even if you work inside with high power machinery, it's often quite difficult for you. And so whenever we were visiting customers, there was one thing that we always saw: there can never be enough sockets on a construction site. The key problem there is today is that these people that work in a mobile fashion and they are in need of mobile electricity, they are provided with a solution that's based on 20th century technology, which is basically called a genset, a generator. And this is combustion-based. It's very inconvenient. And it's actually the most expensive way to generate mobile electricity. And this, what you can see here, this generator with the hammer, is actually not from a third world country. It's just down the road from our office. One of our employees has taken this photo. And we have seen that all over the place. And there's a second problem with these generators. Especially these small generators, they are barely emission regulated. So today you can compare the emissions of this one generator around 5 kilowatts with 100 Euro 6 passenger cars, which is crazy. We are part of this LIFE project. I'm going to talk about it later. But what we can see is that especially the C40 cities, so all the cities around the world that take bold climate action, for example, Paris, but there's also Amsterdam, Rotterdam. They already started with sustainable procurement programs, meaning whenever you have a more sustainable approach on construction sites, you get additional points and you get additional credits for that. So it's easier for you to win tenders. And I'm talking about this later with the EU in a program where we also discuss legislation on that. So these are actually the two problems. And then, of course, we thought about this, and we thought about what would we do about this. And coming from batteries, we, of course, first thought about a battery and thought, how do we bring this 20th century problem? How can we tackle that with the 21st century solution? And that's when we resigned and we founded Instagrid, and we built the strongest portable power battery that's available on the market. So we entirely designed that for the use of professional customers. So it's basically, it has a universal outlet, so 230 volts, you can plug in anything. It's 3.6 kilowatts, so it's really serious. You can power any large machinery. And more importantly, the peak powers you can achieve, they really help you to turn on every engine you can imagine. So you can really run high peak loads with that, up to more than 20 kilowatts in peak. It's lightweight and compact, so you can carry it in one hand. You can put it into any kind of trunk. It's durable, reliable, it's waterproof. You can operate it outside, you can operate it in rain. It has enough runtime to bring you through an entire workday. And after all, it's silent and it's very clean, so there's no emission at the point of use. So, of course, we are a small company and we just recently started, of course, backed with a lot of history. But who would trust such a small company without having a lot of users and without already having a lot tested? What you can see here in the background is one of our Swedish customers who tested a concrete cutter, but also concrete drilling. You can see the holes. So our technology, and you can see the black box. This was one of our early prototypes. Is tested with all the larger customers that we have on their job sites, in their labs. And for this particular example, they were drilling 26 holes in reinforced concrete with only one charge, which was at that point 1.7 kilowatt hours. And this corresponds to 4 meters of reinforced concrete that you can put into a wall. And what we learned from them is that this is substantially more than one work day for one of their customers. So people usually approach us and say, well, how long does it last? What can I do with it? And you always have to say with the battery, it depends. It depends on the user, it depends on your operation mode, it depends what application you do. That's why we also usually present people not it's doing the job for 2 hours or for 3 hours, but we try to put it more in cuts. For example, if you go to the US, they would always ask you how many 2x4s can you cut. 2x4s we know actually quite well because one of our customers tested with 1.5 kilowatt hours. So the smaller version of our system, you can do 3,000 cuts, and this corresponds to 1.5 American detached houses, which is quite impressive, I have to say. So also what you can see is there with electric equipment, there is a huge efficiency gain. So just compared on the lower right, that pneumatic demolition breaker, it has around 5,000 liters of volume and 560 kilograms of weight, but the efficiency is very low. And you can actually achieve the same job by just using the electric version of that from, for example, Hilti, with the 30-kilogram construction breaker, by hooking it up to our system. Our system has 240 times lower volume, 90 times lower weight, but the efficiency is so much higher. So by just breaking the fundament of a two-car garage, you can actually achieve the same level with our system with respect to that pneumatic system. Of course, before you start such a venture and before you resign from a very well-paid job, you ask yourself, is there a competition? And what is the solution that's out there today? And of course, we were first looking into this. What we have seen is that there are solutions out there, but all of these solutions that you can see and that you can get on the market, they're rather tailored for the needs of leisure and camping. And so nothing of that was really tailored to the needs of a professional. For example, the power levels are substantially lower. You cannot power anything that you can power with a socket. And this was our highest credo. We said it has to be a no-brainer. A construction worker has so many things to think about. You need to plug in anything you can plug in into a standard wall outlet, and it needs to be ready from the start. So what you can see here is compared to competition, we have 3 times more power. It's more than 5 times more peak power, so we can run any large machinery. It's 3 times less volume, and I think this is really important. If you look at the trunks of Craftsman, usually it's every cubic centimeter that is thought about, and it has 3 times lower weight. So it's truly portable. Many of the others you get with a carrier, or you cannot carry by hand at all, and they're installed into your car. So this is the one thing on the efficiency side, but of course, as the father of 3 children, I'm also thinking about our world and how we will leave that world to the next generation. So for Instagrid, it's not only about bringing more efficiency, but also putting sustainability in and show that you don't have to pay more for a very good sustainable solution, but you can actually do that. So we believe in the local for local approach. So we try to source everything local for the European market. We also produce locally in Europe. We have a modular design approach. So we can actually, when something is broken, you don't have to change or to repair the entire thing or replace it. You can take modules out and repair them. And we have a very clear labeling for recycling. And so whenever we can, and one of the best examples is the aluminum housing you can see. We use recycled materials. If you use pristine aluminum, it's taken from bauxite. It's usually harvested in the rainforests of Brazil, and it takes 95% more energy than if you use recycled material. So we really try to avoid, whenever we can, to exploit our nature. Our system has a long performance. It's tailored for lifetime. So it's usually, if you don't mean it really bad with it, it's not done after 1 year, but it lasts 5 to 7 years. And we are also closing the loop. So we are trying to collect 100% of these units back and refurbish them, and then, of course, give them back to customers that want to pay a lower rate and that want to have a refurbished system. So what's in for construction workers? We have a quiet, clean, and convenient solution. With that, you can save time and effort. So you don't have to worry about your grid service when you go to a construction site. You don't have to look at the central electricity distribution. Sometimes it's locked. You have to find the key. So you have peace of mind. You go there, you know, whenever something comes up, you just pull out your Instagrid and you're ready to work. You carry this electricity very easily with you. With not pulling 120 meters of extension cords. We have seen that very often. You reduce the tripping hazards, and especially US and California is very critical about this with cordless job sites, but it starts in Germany and I bet in the rest of Europe as well. And of course, you can work in any weather conditions. If you look at our competition, they usually have to have active cooling, which means you cannot, there's no IP rating. You cannot really clean it with water. You cannot really put it into rain. This is not really valid for us. So you can use it in any type of weather condition you can imagine. So I was already referring to that LIFE project earlier on. This is something we do with the EU. And the aim of that is to replace fuel-driven generators, contributing to the zero-emission practices for cleaner air in the cities. So it means anything that is constructed in the city, be it a kindergarten, be it a playground, be it a large commercial building, that the larger cities want to rely on emission-free technology. Because if you imagine 15, 20 years from now, you have almost only electric vehicles just driving around, and then you have a generator next to them that emits as much as we learned now, 100 Euro 6 passenger cars. This sounds kind of crazy. And of course, we also want to assess and also to contribute to these green procurement policies that most of you probably know. So whenever you rely on sustainable solutions, you get credits for that in tenders. So this is all set. We are going to prove that reduction of emissions over the entire life cycle. Of course, at the point of use, it's 100% of reduction, but this is not enough for us. We don't want only to reduce at the point of use. We actually want to reduce over the entire life cycle. You call this cradle to grave. That's why we are actually looking from mining to recycling. And we believe from the first calculations that we can reduce, compared to a diesel generator, about 83% of CO2 emissions. We are going to deploy 100 pilot units for that, and we already have gathered 20 partners in 8 different EU countries, and they will operate the systems in 3 years in 24/7 monitoring. We are also working with environmental agencies from Germany there. They do like benchmarks in the lab, and we are going to publish a study about that later on. Maybe for the end of the presentation, a little customer experiences that I would like to share with you. We have, for example, had, if you're having such a system and you have a universal power socket, you actually cannot imagine what people come back to you with, what they do with your system. So we had a solar panel installation guy working with it, and he said he's much more independent. He doesn't have to wait for the client to open the door. He can work whenever the client is not there, and usually clients prefer it because sometimes it can be loud and noisy. He doesn't have to pet the dog. Of course, if he wants to, he pets the dog, but it's his decision now. So we were also really surprised about that case. Another funny case is catering. So there are lots of food trucks, and for example, here this ice cream van. They really like to use our system because what they usually have, they have a generator either built in or standing outside. But if you want to have an ice cream, if you want to enjoy that, you see the harbor right next to it. You want to do that in a not smelly and not really noisy fashion. So actually, if children just waiting for their ice cream, they get blown with fumes, this was not the nicest experience for them. So they are really happy about that. The same applies for restoration. The guy that we talked to here and that also tested our unit was really happy about that because he's doing many different things. One of them is he's restoring buildings, and usually the first thing that you do, you take out the electricity because you do a new one, and then of course he's in there without electricity. So for him, he was very flexible with that, and he was really able to work with it. One other niche case for the ones of you who own electric boats, you can also consider our system, and this is in this case maybe sound a little funny, but we are also in discussion with the largest players of the Global Assistance Alliance, so everyone that does road assist service, because you can consider our unit as an electric jerry can. So whenever you're running out of juice, you can pump in another 9 to 10 kilometers in a boat, equally in a car. That means if you're broken down, the service comes, they can just equip you with a unit, and they don't have to tow you, because right now what they can do with an electric vehicle is only towing you, and this is horribly expensive and time consuming. So this is the much easier way for that. I hope I could inspire you a little bit with the last couple of slides, and I hope you enjoyed the talk. I'm really happy about questions and to discuss them with you if there's any time left. I don't think so, but I'm happy to stay here and answer questions. And if you're interested in Instagrid, just approach us, follow us through social media, or write us an email. Thanks.